Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It is October 27th, 2020, and we are here on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform, the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, and all is well. All is well. It is a Tuesday evening, and I hope that you have had a great week thus far. I know we're only the second day within the work week, but I'm still hoping that everybody has had a great start of the week at least. All right. Now, as you all know, I only have 1,800 seconds, and I see some of you are already in here. You're already coming into the chat, so that's good. I want to see who's going to be the first three folks so we can see who the LTTC VIPs are for the evening. I already see two of them. I already see two. I just need one more. You know how the auctioneer say, I just need one. Can I get one? Can I get one? Can I get... Well, I see that you all are already here. But do me a favor as you're coming on this evening, go ahead and do a thumbs up, like the conversation. So that tells YouTube that you like the content, the conversation, the tone of our conversation, the actual content of the conversation. And it lets me know that I'm kind of on the right track with what we as a family should be discussing these days. It's so good to see so many of you already here, but make your way on into the chat so I can see people who are just sort of standing on the side watching and looking, but come on into the chat room, say hi. I only have 1,800 seconds with you, so for the next 1,800 seconds, I'm with you in your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, because you know we're from the country and I'm from the country, so we used to always meet in the kitchen. But if you're driving safely and listening, I'm with you in your car. If you pull over and you're watching, I'm with you in your car. Wherever you will allow me to be, I'm there with you for 1,800 seconds. I have to make it all count. So the three LTTC VIPs for the evening are Audrey, Charlene, and Nicey. So Nisi rather. So that's Audrey, Charlene, and Nisi. So you are the LTTC VIPs for the evening. But I've also got to give a special shout out to Zara as well. So it's good to see all of you. Of course, you know our conversations. We are here. We are every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 o'clock, and we're chit chatting. And we're basing our conversations on this book, Billboards to Better: 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. Are you guys enjoying our conversations? Are you enjoying our time together? I really hope you are, because I am. After the end of each broadcast, I leave invigorated and I leave a little more inspired and enthused than I did when I first came in. So I hope the same is true for you. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get started. And I want you all to say hi to the other people. And I want you to participate. I want you to chat. I have a question for you all tonight. Have you ever felt like you were locked in a prison? Have you ever felt like you were locked in a prison only to discover that you actually had the keys to the prison? You felt like you were locked into a prison, like you were locked in a prison, only to discover that you had the keys to the prison. And sometimes you made that discovery after you got out. Sometimes you made that discovery while you were standing there like, wow, I've been imprisoned and I held the keys in my hands the whole time. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about it and see what it means, okay? So then, let's go ahead and take a look at our conversation topics for this evening. We're going to talk from the conversations. If you look in this book, we're going to talk from the conversations of good evening, everybody, from October the 25th, 26th, and 27th. And then we'll be back here Thursday at 8 o'clock, and we're going to chit chat some more, okay? Hey, if you don't have the book, don't worry. You can always run over to Amazon.com and get it, or you can go to gbcutler.com, and there's a link. That's my website. You can click on it. It'll take you to a link where you can order the book. I think it's a great book. It's getting good feedback. So I say that from the perspective of what you guys have been sharing with me. So thank you so much for that. Hey, let's talk about this quote for October the 25th. And it says, whenever you get the privilege to have, you also get the responsibility to do. Whenever you get the privilege to have, you also get the responsibility to do. This is a reminder, you all, that every gift, every single gift that you receive, with every gift that you receive, you also get the responsibility of doing something. So every time you have the privilege of having, you also have the responsibility of doing. In other words, for everything that you get, you also get the responsibility that goes along with it. Okay. And whether your gift is a skill or a talent or a calling or a tangible object or even a person, we have the awesome responsibility to use, to manage, to support, to nurture, to protect, to execute, and even to safeguard. We really do. With every gift that we get, we have those awesome responsibilities. And why is this important? It's important because it's all about relationships, you all. It's all about relationships. And so for a few moments, I really want to talk about relationships. It's not just the relationship that you have with the gift. It's not necessarily that, but it's also about the relationship that you have with the giver, with the person who gave it to you. And if you ever want to really mess up a relationship with the giver, mishandle the gift. If you really want to mess up a relationship with the giver, just mishandle the gift and watch what happens. Have you ever given someone something? Have you ever given them something and you were so disappointed with how they handled it until you decided that I'm never doing this again? You made up your mind somehow within yourself. You reached the resolve that said, I'm never giving them anything else. Because if that's what they think about what I gave them, then that seems to be what they think about me. And maybe you just didn't. You didn't give them anything else, or at least you would not give them something at that caliber and at that level and at that magnitude. Have you ever had that thought, that kind of thinking? When we were growing up, when my two older brothers and I were growing up, our mother would teach us to share. And she taught the importance of sharing. So no matter how much or how little we had, Mama always made sure that when our other relatives or cousins were around, if we pulled it out, we had to share it. That was just the rule. That was just the law in our house that we had to share. Well, you all, I remember this time, and I'm going to be transparent. My mother is, she's in the chat tonight, but she will remember this. I remember this one particular instance when my mother baked a cake. She baked a birthday cake for one of my cousins. And she told her in not so many words, but as an adult, I see this is what she was saying. She was telling her that when you get this, you get the responsibility of doing right by it. I'm going to bake you this birthday cake, but when you get this birthday cake, when you get this gift, you also get the responsibility of handling it correctly. And in our eyes, and in my mom's eyes, the responsibility meant having to share it. Well, you all, to make a long story short, my cousin did not share that birthday cake. And because she did not share that birthday cake, she never got a birthday cake baked by my mother, not that I know of. So, what am I saying? With each gift comes the responsibility to do the right thing. And with everything that we have been given, every talent, every gift, every person, every calling, everything that we have, we also have the responsibility to do the right thing. We really, really do. We really, really do. So the birthday cake was a light-hearted lesson, but when the stakes are high, you all, when the stakes are high, when the gift is more significant than a birthday cake, when the gift is significant, so is the responsibility. It truly is. Once again, y'all know I don't have a lot of time, so I have to make these moments count and these seconds significant that we're sharing, these 1800 seconds. It ought to be our goal. It ought to be our goal. And you know how it felt when you gave somebody something and they disregarded your gift. Right. And some of you said, never again. Absolutely never again was your resolve on the inside. That's the way you handle the gift that I gave you. I'm never doing it again. It ought to be our goal. It should be our goal to be a good steward over everything, every situation, every place, and even every person who comes into our lives. One of the best ways as a practical matter, if you want to get more, handle the little correctly. If you want to get more, handle the little correctly. If you want to get more money, then do right by the little money that you have. One of the best ways to increase your circle, your village of supporters, is to do right by the few that you have. Do right by the few that you have, and your reputation will precede you. It will go out in the land that he or she is a good steward over the people who come into his or her life, and your support group will increase. Some of you know that for almost 15 years, I had the privilege of serving as a professor at Howard University for almost 15 years. And I considered every single student a gift from God. I considered the opportunity to teach them a gift from God. I considered every opportunity to be a part of their life and a part of their journey as a gift from God. And do you know what I did? I vowed to God. I vowed to God that I would never betray the trust that God had in me when it came to those young people. Absolutely never. I would make sure that I gave them my 100% best effort every time I walked into the classroom. Every time I handled my students, I handled them as if I were handling myself. I poured into their lives. I know it was just teaching. So for some of us, we felt like it was just teaching. But for me, it was not just a vocation, but it was a calling. So then I vowed that I would do the very best job by those students that I could. And so for 15 years, that's what I did. And maybe, just maybe, that's why I was rated as one of the top faculty members across the campus. Maybe that's why when you want to reap something good, then you have to do good by the gift that you've been given. Because that speaks to the relationship that you have with the giver. It really does. And so I want to encourage each of you, each and every one of you. I want you to be inspired. I want you to be encouraged by knowing that what you have, whatever you have been given, you all, to some degree, you have to understand and believe it is because God trusts you with it. It really is. I say that to parents, especially to my students who become parents and to my nieces and nephews who become parents. I say it all the time. You have that child because to some degree, God trusts you with him or her. So think about it, you all. Every single gift, everything that you have, every calling, every gift, every talent, every situation, every person, whatever you have been given, you have also been given the responsibility to do right, to do good, to do just, and to do honorably. So then, what are we going to do? What are we going to do tonight? I know I want to challenge you all tonight. So tonight, with this lesson, I want to challenge us to look at every gift in our lives, every gift in our arsenal, and let's recommit to doing right by it. Because when you do right by the gift, you strengthen your relationship with the giver. I need to say that again for myself. When you do right by the gift, you strengthen your relationship with the giver. It's true. It's true. Y'all, I got 1,800 seconds. I ain't got time to sit there and keep talking about that. But look it up. Do a thumbs up if you like this conversation. Let's move on and let's see what our source of motivation is for October 26th. All right? Let's see what the source of motivation is. And again, you all know we're basing our conversation on this book because we're riding down the highway together. We're riding down the highway together. I don't know if we're on a bus or in a caravan, but we're doing this thing together. At least every Tuesday and Thursday we're doing it together. All right. October the 26th. And it says, God handles guilt much better than we do. My goodness. God handles guilt much better than we do. He keeps it and offers us grace instead. He keeps the guilt and he offers us grace instead. Some of you all know me by now because you've been tuning in and you followed me on social media, but you know by now that I am a big proponent of being able to forgive yourself. I'm a big proponent of being able to look in the mirror and say, I offer you forgiveness. Speaking to yourself. A big proponent of being able to look in the mirror and say, I extend you mercy, or I accept forgiveness, or I offer you grace. I'm a big proponent of that. Let me tell you why, just in a moment of transparency. Let me tell you why. I do that, you all, because I know what it is. I know what it is to be held hostage, emotionally and psychologically hostage by the failures, the falls, the fumbles, the foibles, and all of those things of your past. I know what it is to be held hostage emotionally and psychologically by all of those things that haunt us from the past. I really do know. And I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be set free by the forgiveness of others, but incarcerated by the failure to forgive myself. I know what it's like. I really do. So I want to share that with you all this evening. I know what it is to live in the assumption of what I think God thinks about me rather than the knowledge of the love that God has for me. I know what it's like to be emotionally and psychologically imprisoned, yet hold the key. That's what I wanted to talk about this evening. So when I said, how many of us have ever felt like we were in bondage or in prison and we are holding the key? And the inability to forgive yourself, you all, is tantamount, is the equivalent of imprisoning and incarcerating yourself while you got the key dangling from your hand. And I want to remove us from that kind of prison. I want to empower you and inspire you to put the key in that cell door and walk out and never look back. And it's called the ability to forgive yourself. That's what I want us to do. I know what it feels like to walk in the space and to live in the space and to exist in the space and to be in a space where I didn't know the distinction between conviction and condemnation. I know what it is to live in that place, not knowing what is the difference between conviction and condemnation. Do you not know that by the mere fact that we have morality and this God consciousness, yes, we should be convicted of our wrongdoings. We should feel bad about our wrongdoings and our misguided notions. We should feel bad about that in the moment. But conviction is a thing for the present that helps me to secure a better future and to reroute my life onto a better future. That's what conviction is. Conviction deals with me now so I can get it better and get it straight and get it right. That's what conviction does. It speaks to me in the here and the now, in the present, so that my future looks better. Where I am now, conviction speaks to me so that my future looks better, but condemnation is a whole different space. It's a whole different place from conviction, because condemnation is a space where I believe my future is without hope, where my future is already messed up. That's what condemnation is. And I know what it's like to live in this space where I don't know the distinction between conviction and condemnation. Conviction is okay, because conviction speaks to me out of my sense of morality, my sense of right and wrong, my sense of God conscience. That you shouldn't have said that. No, you shouldn't have done that. No, you shouldn't go there. And you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't go there, so that your future looks brighter. That's what conviction is. But condemnation says you've already done it and your future is messed up and there's no hope, no chance of getting it right. But that is not true. That is a trick of the enemies of our hearts, mind, and soul. And I want us to be able to live in a place where we can forgive ourselves and not live in condemnation. Absolutely not. I don't want us to live in condemnation. Right? And so there's so many of us watching and tuning in this evening. And I want us all to live in the powerful space where we can forgive ourselves and not be held hostage by the mistakes of our past. Don't you do it to yourself, and don't you allow others to do that to you. Absolutely not. No, ma'am, no, sir. Absolutely not. And so what I want to share with you all, in addition to that, is that there is no space, there is no place where you have gone or that you would ever go where grace cannot cover you. Absolutely not. Be encouraged, be inspired, be motivated this evening. Why? Because life will never lead us into anything that grace can't pull us out of. I'll say that again, because I want us to get it. We're here, we're family. Y'all know I only have 1,800 seconds and I've got to make it count, you all. So let me say that again. Life will never lead us into anything where grace cannot pull us out of. I'm telling you all. And we wrestle with this whole mental and psychological and emotional guilt all of the time. We beat ourselves up. We do it to ourselves all of the time. We really, really do. But guilt is to be left in the past. If any good can come out of guilt, if any good can come out of guilt, it ought to tell us to reroute our future. You know, it says, listen, check your present. That's guilt. I'm talking about guilt. Check your present. Reroute yourself so that your future looks bright. That is the good thing about guilt. Guilt allows me. I didn't say the inability to forgive or the inability to forgive. I didn't say that. I'm saying guilt. Guilt, the good thing about guilt is it checks me where I am so I can reroute my life. And so I can live in forgiveness and I can move in forgiveness. I can show up in forgiveness. Do you know that you are a person most miserable when you can't forgive yourself? You never present a 100% you when you can't forgive yourself. Because you're always debating and you're always questioning who is showing up or what percentage of good is showing up in me. Those are psychological and mental and emotional challenges and trauma that we go through when we don't forgive ourselves. Let's forgive ourselves and leave guilt in the past. We've done a lot of things. Listen, some of us didn't marry when we had the opportunity. Some of us didn't have children when we had the opportunity. Some of us did not pursue certain career paths when we had the opportunity. Some of us didn't pursue certain educational goals when we had the opportunity. We didn't go to certain places when we had the opportunity. And then there were some times when we did a whole lot of things when we did have the opportunity. We did negative things when we had the opportunity to do positive things. It all happens, you all. It really happens. And then some of us, we did a whole lot of stuff that we didn't necessarily, have any business doing, right? We didn't necessarily have any business doing. Some of us said things that we shouldn't have said. Some of us went places we shouldn't have gone. But I'm telling you all, guess what? You might live with the regret of it all, but we can recover from everything. You might live with the regret of what you did, but we can recover from everything. I can't tell you not to live with regret. I can't tell you that. But I can tell you to learn how to release yourself from the agony and the guilt and the shame that comes with failing to forgive yourself. I can't say, hey, don't live with any regrets. We all live with regrets. I mean, sometimes we like to say, I don't have any regrets, but a lot of people live with regrets. But what am I saying? What am I saying? Even if you live with the regret, also live with recovery. If you're going to live with regret, live with recovery. Live knowing that, you know what? So I regret doing that, but I can always recover from having done it. And how do you recover? You recover by forgiving yourself. You recover by saying, you know what? There is no condemnation in my present. There's no condemnation in my future. Because for whatever wrong judgment I made, whatever lack of judgment I executed, whatever improper judgment I followed through with, there's always an opportunity to forgive myself. I'm telling you all, don't live in a prison of unforgiveness. No, not when you've got the key. When you're holding the key and you can let yourself free, you take those keys of the ability to forgive yourself, open those prison doors, walk out, and never look back. And don't let anybody else, by their naysaying, cast you into a prison, into a cell where you don't belong. Because guess what? We were designed, we were created to live in the liberty and the beauty of life. We really, really were. And so many times we hold ourselves hostage, but I'm telling you all, take control over the ability to forgive yourself and move on. And here's what I want us to do. Let's forgive ourselves for not forgiving ourselves. Because sometimes we realize, oh, I should have forgiven myself. But somehow people they made me think that I was better by being oppressed. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can show up a whole person when you have forgiven yourself. It's all about grace. It's all about walking in the grace that you can give yourself by putting your key in that cell door and walking out. Because a gift that you have is the gift of that key to walk out and say, that's not going to imprison me. It's not going to psychologically incarcerate me. Absolutely not. So then, to the extent that we can, let's forgive ourselves. and let's move on. And the only thing that you take into your future, if you've got to take anything into your future, is regret and recovery. You're not taking guilt, nor are you taking unforgiveness. Absolutely not. Not on our watch, because we are here as a family to encourage and to inspire and to motivate each other. And one of the things that really speaks to my heart with conviction and out of my experience is the ability to forgive yourself. And sometimes we learn that late. We learn that lesson late. I wish that I would have known the gift and the skill and the talent and the power of being able to forgive myself long before I found it. So I'm sharing that with you. That is one of the reasons I wrote that in the book. I'm telling you, it really is. Because guess what? God Himself, the Creator Himself, He handles guilt much better than we do. Because He would take guilt and exchange it for grace. And we'll hold on to it all the time. Let's learn a lesson from the Creator. You all, I don't have a lot of time, but I just really, that one speaks to my heart. And I want to make sure that that point gets across to us. I only have a few more seconds, so I want to go on to October 27th, which is today. It says, when the probability of offending God means more than the possibility of receiving forgiveness, we are more inclined to do what's right. I am so enjoying your input, your feedback, and your conversation. I'm going to read this again, but I just want to tell you all that I'm encouraged and motivated when I hear from you all. And I get it. Yes. And I'm reading the comments. You're right. Grace and mercy is what brings us through, and recovering from regret. We really have to do that, you all. We have to recover from regret, because we deal with that all of the time. And we become our own, what we call saboteurs. We will sabotage our own success, because somehow we are made to feel like we're better people if we can oppress ourselves. But we're better when we can show up as a 100% free and liberated person. Forgiveness really does set us free. And I know, thank you. I've seen the comments. It is hard to do, but it is a necessary step that you take. And I promise you this, when you step out of a place of unforgiveness, you will never let anybody hold you bound anymore. You will never let anybody cause you to think that that prison cell was designed for you. You will never let anybody make you think that you are a better or a whole person because you suppressed and oppressed yourself in a 4x4 cell where you did not belong. I'm just here to inspire you and motivate you. Let's learn to forgive ourselves and walk into the liberty wherewith we were made to enjoy. All right. Let me go to October 27th. I enjoy your feedback. October 27th says this. When the probability of offending God means more than the possibility of receiving forgiveness, we are more inclined to do what's right. Let me tell you what I meant by that when I wrote that. Because I'm going to share a truth about me with you. I don't like having to say I'm sorry to other people. I don't, but I will. I don't like having to say it, but I will. And I especially don't like having to say that to people that I love and to people who mean something to me. Why? Because for me to have to say that, it means I have offended them. It means I have hurt them. It means I have mishandled them or mistreated them. So I don't like having to say it, but I will. And for the people that I love, for the people who are important to me, the probability of hurting you, it weighs heavier on my heart than the possibility of receiving your forgiveness. Yes, I trust that you will forgive me, but it weighs heavier on my heart to even think that I might offend you. So I remember when I was growing up, there were some things that I just would not do because in my little mind, I didn't want God to be displeased. There were some things I didn't do because I didn't want my mom to be hurt. And so the probability of offending them was much heavier on my heart than the possibility of saying forgiveness. Have you ever met people who just do stuff and say, well, I know they can forgive me? And so they do it anyway? Oh, no, you don't do that to people that you love, that you honor, that you respect, that you treasure. You just don't do that. Listen, we all mess up. We all have offended God and other people and even ourselves. We have. But have you ever met anybody who is so careless, who is so reckless, who is so thoughtless, who is so negligent in their behavior and in their tongue until they would just repeatedly hurt people? Have you ever met people like that? And then they don't bother to ask for forgiveness, or if they do ask forgiveness, they don't even know how to ask for forgiveness. As a sidebar, when you offend people, you don't say, I'm sorry if, because your if negates the possibility that you hurt them. I need to come back and chat about that one day. The art of asking for forgiveness. It's not that I'm sorry if I offended you, but I'm sorry that my words offended you. I'm sorry that I offended you by my words. That's how we learn to apologize. And so, what is important for me when I think about the people that I love, y'all, I'm telling you, I believe in living with filters. Some people say, "Oh, you don't have to live so cautiously," but I believe in living with filters. I believe in processing your thoughts before you articulate your words. I believe in that. I believe in rereading a message 3 times before you click the send button. Because once you ring the bell, you cannot unring it. And I'm sorry, I'll be transparent with you all. I don't believe in, I'm sorry, I couldn't hurt myself. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the devil made me do it. I don't believe that. I don't believe in, I didn't know what I was saying. I don't believe in it. Maybe you do, y'all. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe in that. I don't believe in people inflicting wounds and leaving you to deal with the scars and never at least offering you a bandage. I don't believe in it. But I believe in forgiveness. I do. I believe it. And I believe that we should understand how to apologize when we've messed up, when we've done wrong. I really do. I really do. When y'all listen, I've taken an extra 120 seconds and I'm so sorry, but when you love somebody, you think before you speak and you process before you proceed. That's all I'm trying to say. So don't you allow people, not after October the 27th, don't you allow people to wound you, leave you to deal with the scars and never look back to at least offer you a bandage. Absolutely don't do that, you all. Don't do it. Don't you all do it. Because people can't take back words. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you offer them forgiveness, do not feel compelled to have to offer them access. If you offer them the forgiveness, don't feel compelled to have to offer them access back into your life. So I'm telling you, for me, absolutely process before you proceed. You can't take words back. There is a light at the end of every tunnel. There really is. And life shows us that there are lights. So I'm telling you all this. And I've got to go because my time is overspent. But I want you all to understand this. Some people, some people will sin against God, yes, and against other people because other people mean very little to them. For 1,800 seconds, a little bit more tonight, I've been with you in your living room, your car, your dining room, your kitchen, wherever you've allowed me. I want to close like this. I want to close on purpose of our life is absolutely to be happy. I want to close on a note by sharing something with you that I wrote years ago. Yes. Don't have any guilt. Don't have any guilt for not giving people access. I want to close by sharing something with you that I wrote in another book years ago. And it is called Treat It Right. You all know this is about uplifting us and encouraging us to do what's right. So here's a sort of light-hearted poem that I wrote, but I hope it packs a punch and leaves a message. It's called Treat It Right. And remember, I said, whatever the gift you get, whatever you get the privilege to have, you also get the responsibility to do. So take a listen to this particular poem. It comes from my book, Thoughts Keep Flowing. The name of this poem is Treat It Right. Eggs were not intended to be eaten. They were not born to be beaten. They were meant to give life. Who would take a life and boil it, color it the color of rainbows, and celebrate death? How ironic that life would be taken, doused with salt, and victory applauded. Nature's incubator and respirator for life. Life was not meant to be fried, poached, or scrambled, flipped upside down, topsy turvy, or sunny side up. Cheese was not churned for mice, to be served to rodents by humps or by the slice. Cheese was chosen for chefs. Who could take something so smooth, smear it into execution, and smudge away its flavor? Cheese was made for pasta, plain bread, and butter, perfecting and completing what seemed so simplistic. Milk is not made to be spilled, absorbed with a towel, discarded, and thrown under a bridge. From mother to child, the inclination is for the weak to become strong. Handle with care what was structured for strength. Can sour and handle with care what was structured for strength can sour and sicken, curdle and kill. Eggs were not intended. Cheese was not chosen. Milk was not meant to be spilled. I hope you all enjoyed that. That's one of my lighthearted poems in uh, Thoughts Keep Flowing. But again, for the past 1,800 seconds, a little bit more tonight, you all. You've been here with me on the Let's Talk the Color broadcast. Hey, until next Thursday, this coming Thursday, let's do what we do. Let's continue building community, maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up, keep your hearts up, keep your hopes up. Stay safe and stay sane. And until we meet again, encourage somebody, and you yourself also be encouraged as we continue to drive and ride down this highway every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 o'clock. We're on this highway, and along the highway, we're reading these billboards to better. You all take care. Good night.